Yo, what's up? I'm QuHarrison Terry, and we're now live at the first day of Project Voice. You might hear some clattering and banging. That's because they're building the future of voice at this conference, literally.
They are.
Yeah, and I'm excited. You know, this is our first time to see each other face to face,
Yeah.
and I mean, I can say that Paul lives up to it. You've got the same grit, dexterity, and just innovative thoughts on what's at large in voice in person. So thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Q. Good to be here, man.
We've got
Fun.
4 more days of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
all right.
is just the beginning.
Just the beginning. So I'm just getting back from CES. You're getting back from Spain.
Yep.
There's a lot that's happened in the past 3 to 4 weeks just with Alexa. There's some few things that I want to just kind of talk about at large, not necessarily the actual, I would say, trends that have happened or occurred. I want to talk more about patterns I'm just seeing generally in the industry. And one of the things that's emerging is this whole concept of using Alexa as a concierge, like a concierge I would actually use, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going beyond whether music and games. We're seeing it where you can now pay for your gas.
Yep.
We're seeing it where you can now know who you are through the voice. Like the voice recognition is pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. What's your take at that?
I mean, I think it's outstanding because it just gives people more and more reasons to be using Alexa. And if the technology is coming from Amazon or if the technology is coming from an app developer, any app developer, more reasons for people to use the platform breeds increased engagement, breeds more opportunity for everybody. And I think it's about making everyone's life more efficient and effective, the same way that our lives all got better when the smartphones came out and we could get online on the browser on our phones. I think that this is the next thing, and it's fun to see it happening now. So I'm excited.
And if you're live watching, please let us know what your thoughts are on Alexa at large in 2020. What's keeping you up in voice? What's keeping you up in voice?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you that question, but let us know where you're joining us from in the chat and what's keeping you up in voice. I'm gonna ask you that same question, Paul. It's a new year, a new decade. Voice is a wave. It's not just a thing that sits on people's computer screens saying that this is the next innovation to change all our lives. It's actually doing that. And it's being integrated in everything from a car to your watch to headphones to even glasses. I remember at the end of last year, Amazon and their special division, I can't think of the name of that group, they released the Alexa frames.
Yep.
Remember those?
Yep.
So those were cool. What's keeping you up in voice?
So for me, I get excited thinking about like the everyday business owner or the everyday entrepreneur that maybe doesn't have a huge team. And so they can use voice to be more efficient and effective. They can use voice to check their QuickBooks, or they can use voice to, have a voice-based version of their company training. So like if you're a small business, you've got less than 10 people and you need to hire some employees, you might not have a full HR team that can train your next hire, but you could use voice for that. You could build a voice skill and you can even build it into a video skill on, say, the Echo Show, for example, and have video tutorials on it as well.
Now let's say you are a small business owner or a medium-sized business owner and you want to use an Alexa. Is it as simple as just going on Amazon.com and just buying the device and now I can integrate it with my QuickBooks, or what's that process like?
Okay, so that's a good question. So why data-driven design is in the voice space is because we're a small, scrappy digital startup, digital agency startup, basically, that has realized that you can build a custom voice app on top of Alexa or on top of Google. So a small business owner couldn't necessarily just buy the device and all of a sudden have it be turnkey to their QuickBooks, for example, or their voice-based training platform, but they could hire a voice app developer to build them something that's private to their business that they can easily install and enable and then have it.
That makes a lot of sense. For the people that are new to voice, they're just joining us live, can you describe what the difference between a voice app is and a voice skill? Because I know there's some confusion.
Okay.
there. Yeah.
There's no difference, but it's it's like Kleenex and tissue, right? So So Kleenex is the skill and tissue is the voice app. What I mean by that is Amazon, Alexa skills, Google Assistant actions, and at the top of that is the category. The category is voice app, like the category is tissue, but the brand is Kleenex. So the brand is the Alexa skill. So what I try to do when I'm talking about it is I try to say voice app, because really what we're doing at Data Driven Design is we're trying to build voice apps that can be deployed to both Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa, so that it's a technicality in the verbiage there.
Now, if you're looking to get involved in the voice app, voice skill world, and you own a business or you thinking about starting a company, what tools would you use if you wanted to make your own skill?
Okay, so there's some really great tools to make your own skill. It depends on what you want to do, but if you want to get started, actually Amazon has blueprints and Google has templates. And so you can actually go in and anybody can do this. I would recommend you try this first and just see how far you can get. It's almost like buying a WordPress theme. There's a lot of small business owners that have actually gone out and bought their own WordPress themes and tried to do it themselves. And mid-level marketers in like larger companies. So you could try Amazon blueprints, you could try Google templates, but then just to take it up a notch, I would recommend 3 different other platforms depending on what you want. And so one is I'm a power user of VoiceFlow. VoiceFlow gives you the ability to build custom voice apps without coding. But then, for example, like Joe Wallace, our CTO, who's here at Project Voice with me, he and I can collaborate. He's a coder, I'm not. I can start a skill. I can start an app in VoiceFlow. He can come in and layer code over top of that. The second one would be...
So I want to stop you there. So VoiceFlow, it sounds like it's a great introduction for someone that is a little bit more technically inclined and savvy, but doesn't necessarily want to put the code to the application literally.
Right. So if you're the marketer at a convenience store that has, let's say, 50 locations, and you're responsible for all of the marketing, like you might update the website, you might fool around with a blueprint, but you're probably not going to go into VoiceFlow and build anything because it's a little bit higher level. You might have a dedicated employee on your team that would do that, or you would hire an agency like us.
That makes sense.
And then the second one is, sorry, go ahead.
And if anyone has any questions on VoiceFlow or anything in that, what Paul's mentioning, I'll link to you in the chat after we get done.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd be happy to help anybody with that. And then the second one that I'm obviously big on, because we built it at Data Driven Design, is called the Voice Designer. So it's a WordPress plugin that allows you to build a voice app, which is both an Alexa skill and a Google action from the back end of your WordPress admin dashboard.
And then it utilizes the content in WordPress?
Yep.
That's interesting. Can I buy it on CodeCanyon?
You can, not yet. You can buy it on our website, thevoicedesigner.com.
Oh, wow.
You can download the free version in the WordPress plugin directory, so you can be in the back end of your WordPress site now and search the Voice Designer, and you'll see it there.
So you're not even charging people to get going?
So we're not, but we are charging to publish the skill. So you can download it for free. You can build a voice app for free, and you can test it on Amazon and on Google. And then in order to publish it and be live to the world, you needed to buy either a single site license or a developer license.
Got it. That's pretty fresh. And what was the third thing?
So the third thing it's called Engage by Voice. EngageByVoice.com. They have built some really sweet templates.
Okay.
So like, for example, if you just want to build like a quick voice-based text campaign, for example, where you want to maybe allow somebody to say their phone number into a voice device as part of your campaign, and then they get a text with a URL on it or with like a call to action on it.
Yep.
You could use Engage by Voice. So they're good friends of ours, and we've tested their product, and it's awesome.
So Engage by Voice, that's more action specific, but a little bit further than what a blueprint might offer me?
Exactly.
Got it.
It's a template like a blueprint, so you can't really customize it, whereas, so I would say VoiceFlow, you can get super custom. The Voice Designer, you can get the next level of custom. Engage by Voice, you're using templates, but they're really sophisticated templates.
That makes sense. Alrighty. If you have any questions about voice, I would go ahead and let me know in the comments below. We'll get to those. Other than that, Paul, what are you expecting to see at Project Voice 2020?
I mean, I'm expecting to learn about a lot of the stuff that voice is helping the consumers do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you and I have talked offline about some of that stuff.
Totally.
Kind of trying to make people's worlds maybe a little bit more fun, maybe a little bit more convenient, like giving them some stuff to try. So I'm excited to learn about some of that. Now, for me personally, I want to know stuff like, my clients have a lot of questions on how to get found on, say, the Echo Show device, for example. So
Okay.
do you use the Echo Show?
Yeah. I mean, the Echo Show is cool because the only way I find apps currently is those flash briefings that
Yes.
Amazon puts up. So
Yes,
they'll say,
exactly.
Alexa, ask for...
The suggestions,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
So what I want to learn from Project Voice is I want to go to the people at Amazon and try to understand, okay, what does that ecosystem look like to try and get either featured or suggested, and another example, Q, is like, even if you're not on the show, if you're just
Yeah.
on the dot or something, you might try to invoke a skill. You might try to say, Alexa, where's the nearest arts and crafts store to me?
Yeah.
And it might not know the answer, but what it started to do is it started to say, I don't know the answer to that, but I have a few skills that can help you with that.
Got it.
And so I want to try to understand how does that ecosystem work? If we're building a skill that has content related to like a local arts and crafts store, right?
Yeah.
Are there keywords we can put into the back end?
Got
Is
it.
there description we can put in? And is there content in the skill that Amazon's looking for or Google's looking for to elevate that up?
So how do you build awareness for your
Exactly.
skill that you've put a lot of time and energy
Yeah.
into?
Without having to promote it on Instagram and promote it in your email newsletter and promote it everywhere else, because we know as marketers that that's what our clients have to do. And I say our clients, like we're talking about like mid-sized level company marketers and startup founders and things like that. But we know that those things have to happen. You have to cross promote.
Yes.
But what can you do on the platform to be found, right?
That's fair. Well, we'll be at Project Voice for the rest of the week, really. This is just day one. We're getting started. If you have any questions, you can learn with us. Just drop them in the comments below, and I'll be there, and I'll get your question ideally answered sometime throughout this week. There's a lot of time to go, and a lot of questions I'm sure to be had. I've got a few for myself. I'm very curious to learn how we coexist in the next decade with the voice assistants. And when I think back 10 years ago, voice was it was a feature. It was literally something you paid more money to get. The Moto X came out 10 years ago, 2010, or was it 2010, 2011? Somewhere around there, or I might be off a little bit, but basically the Hey Google feature was this feature that Motorola, the phone company, put a lot of marketing and brand dollars around to promote and say this is a unique, distinctive quality and trait of our phone. We're at the point now where I'd be hard pressed to name a phone that doesn't have some type of voice connection or integration already built into it. And that's now starting to evolve away not only from the device itself, but into our cars, our refrigerators, our headphones, our clocks.
Yeah.
Like, what device doesn't have Alexa in it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I see an Alexa-enabled golf club, right? It sounds crazy, but it's like, okay, Alexa, what's the time while I'm swinging? Like, you would think that that's a place where you'd have Zen, but literally it's like, why not?
That's right.
And how do humans coexist? I mean, these are the developers that are building that experience. I want to learn more about that here while I'm at Project Voice, because there's always the conversation to be had with the futurists and the technologists and the future thinkers, but then there's always a conversation to be had with the practitioners. What I found is, in my experience, they differ. Like, usually the practitioner is like saying, this is possible, and the futurist is like, we can do all of this tomorrow. And so I like to have a balance, kind of like a credit card.
Yeah. And I think that, like, to your point, it's got to make someone's life easier, right? So to take the example of the Alexa enabled golf club.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you made that into like a caddy, that would be pretty sweet. I don't know if you're a golfer.
Yeah, it would be.
You know, and so, but
So
I asked my mother-in-law today because she needed to buy a new dryer.
Yeah.
And I said, you should get one with Alexa in it. And she's like, no, that's just one more thing that could break, that could go wrong, right? So it's like
fair.
finding that balance of like what's gonna make sense to have it be, make your life easier. So.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, you can catch us in the future. Thanks for joining our live stream. We will chat with you and many others in the following days to come.
Absolutely. We're
Alrighty.
excited to be here.